Hi, I'm Simon Rushton and this is Taxi Chronicles podcast. On this podcast, we spontaneously interview unsuspecting passengers with their permission, allowing them to share their intimate life stories and concerns. As our slogan states, real riders, real stories. Some riders prefer to be anonymous, while others ask me to tell their story later on. Either way, there are all genuine 5 to 10 minutes stories, so sit back and enjoy this episode. Morning. Yeah, back with a lovely lady called Larissa. Yes, and she's a tailor, and she's going to tell us about her story as a tailor, how she became a tailor. She also has businesses in Beirut, and which is very interesting. So nice to have you here today, Larissa.
Hi, nice to be here.
So tell us, what is your story? How did you start off into the tailoring business, and tell us what's happening with the Beirut?
Well, I started through an internship on Savile Row when I was at uni at St Martin's, and I was so impressed by the quality of the craftsmanship. So on my first day I was asked to fix the lining on a jacket, and there was barely any damage, and it's the first time it came in for repairs since it was made 35 years ago.
Really?
So I was just quite blown away by that, and that there's that standard, like there's that kind of quality of clothing around, and such expertise really impressed me.
So this was a suit?
This is a men's jacket, yeah.
Oh, and he hasn't worn it that much?
He had, because they could tell by how the fabric is they could tell it's been worn down, like it had been worn. They can tell everything. They can read a garment, they can read a person.
Oh, so they can read a history.
Yeah.
Like you read tattoos, like gang tattoos,
yeah.
you read. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you can tell exactly. You can tell it's been worn.
35 years.
Yeah, and I was just so impressed.
So he had real sentimental value to that.
Often, like these suits, they kind of do get passed on, and you inherit them, and they really hold, which I find impressive. But I do women's wear mainly, but with that sort of informed by that standard of tailoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So you was impressed with this standard, and then you went on from Savile Road. How long was you at Savile Road for?
I always went for sorry. That's my dad. It's okay. Should we?
Do you want to pause?
You're gonna have to edit it.
Okay, don't worry. No.
It's okay. I'll call my dad afterwards.
All right. So carry on.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
I always went there in all my holidays to sort of learn as much as possible, and then quite quickly after graduating from St Martin's I went to Beirut, also for work experience.
Okay.
And I was so, again, really surprised by how different it was to what I'd imagined that city to be like. Super mixed. Really
mixed in what sense?
Mixed as in like culturally very mixed,
like London, or all
like
races,
London,
or religions?
yeah, like London, yeah, but
okay.
In a very, obviously, yeah, there are similarities, but it's obviously very different. Like the fact that you're from this place or this religion or this background is really important there. It's really ingrained, and people are trying to break out of that, and it's been a source of conflict for so long. But it has that real diversity. It's also really a lot of opportunities everywhere. You arrive within one day, somebody's like, oh, let me introduce you to them. They do tailoring, they do sewing, she's a blogger, she's a this, and a very shared creative world.
How long ago was this?
So in 2016.
Okay, so not that long. Okay.
And then I stayed there and actually set up my own tailoring studio where I made bespoke women's wear.
Okay.
And I stayed there for 4 years, coming back and forth.
Your obviously descent of Austrian Swiss or Swiss Austrian.
Yeah.
How did you find yourself in Beirut? What made you pick Beirut?
Well, my dad's a documentary filmmaker, and he was a war journalist, investigative journalist. So he had been working in those areas for a long time, and so I always grew up hearing about the Middle East and Iraq and Africa and all these but always from the point of view of conflict zones, because that's when he went to places.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it really informed me, and I was quite shocked by how misinformed I was actually, despite being interested and wanting to learn. It's such a cosmopolitan city. It's so creative. It's totally alive that I kind of wanted to stay there to find out more about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. What was the thing you really loved about Beirut?
I really loved the design world. I love the creative world. I also love that everything's quite spontaneous. You don't have to plan much ahead. You can finish work at 9 p.m. and then decide you want to meet a friend, and within half an hour you're with, it's really, everything's quite, it's very much up to you, and nothing's very much planned ahead. And the history that's really tangible, sort of the different cultures and the attitude that people have, considering that things have often collapsed there, or there has been war, and then there was peace and then war, and that despite all of that, there's this incredibly positive attitude and a lot of energy, sort of fighting for trying to get a better life or keeping their businesses running. Like, most of the young creators were employed, had 2 part-time jobs, and 3 projects they were running at the same time, all super, super cool. So I just thought it was really amazing, like really resilient. It's a word that's often said about people there.
But they say hard times make a strong nation, good times make a weak nation.
Yeah.
So, and
well, it was. They had. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
So these tailoring, how long does it take you to make a woman's suit?
Well, it can take up to a month maximum.
Is that just you working on it, or a team?
No, it's me, and I'm a really small team, so it's myself and a seamstress, and then somebody who does the finishing, so like does all the hems and the buttons and things. So it's three of us working on it. And also on top of it, I only upcycle, so I use only existing textiles, sort of.
Oh,
yeah.
They've been used before?
They've been used before, that have been, so completely all reused. And they're often, I look for really nice quality, so you have a bit more of a puzzle putting it together, because you're sometimes limited by amounts, or embroidered, or you have to restore elements of it, so it's quite complicated, but it's really nice.
I hear you. Okay. So, but that must mean that suit must be very expensive then. You only do top end. So if it's going to take you a month, and how many of you working on there?
3 of us.
3 of you.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna. You're looking in the thousands straight off.
It's definitely not everything. Those are like the super duper pieces, but not everything's of that caliber, I'd say. But yeah, they often have quite sentimental value. Like the piece that we would have been incorporating was inherited and collected by somebody's great aunt who travelled to China in the 70s and brought back this fabric which she couldn't wear, and then we transformed it into a coat. So it's like there's a lot of stories involved in it.
Okay.
As well, yeah.
So
we had one piece that used to belong to the director of the Russian ballet,
Okay.
which is a sort of damask. It was made in Syria. It's a brocade with like gold thread in it and everything, and it was
Gold thread.
gold thread. They wove it with gold.
How does that work? That sounds really fascinating. How does that work? Because
so it's a thread which is also woven into it, has sort of gold.
So it's thread with gold fragments.
Yeah.
So the gold fragments, like dust, could actually.
They're more like a wire kind of.
So
but
the gold
really tiny.
is
really
like
thin.
a copper wire, but really thin.
Yeah.
So it's.
And then it's sort of wrapped into around.
1.
Yeah, it's sort of spun into.
How much does gold thread cost
I
a
don't
meter?
know. I've only ever restored it. I wouldn't know how much.
Yeah, but
making something like that would cost.
So where
nowadays.
did you get the gold thread from?
It was the coat. That was the way the coat was made.
So you just slowly took out the thread.
So we basically we just restored it. We restored it and then retailored it because it was a totally bizarre shape and unwearable. So we sort of opened up the coat and then reshaped it according to the new client.
So you unsewn, unwoven. Is it sewn or woven?
It was sewn.
Sewn. So you unsewn the gold thread and then you'd put it back in. You'd have to.
Yeah.
That sounds. But do you know where gold thread comes from?
Well, this was made in Damascus in Syria. Syria has a huge textile industry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And it's always been really important historically. So a lot of words we have for textiles come from an Arab-speaking world. So Damascene is sort of when you have, it's all white, but you have sort of 2 shines of white in the piece of fabric. That's something typical from there. Aleppo has a huge textile industry. They weave a lot there, and they even Princess Diana's wedding dress was the fabric for it was made in Damascus.
Okay.
So they're very there's a very old traditional industry there, which is now completely destroyed. But there's still sort of, you can find these things in some old markets, or people have collected Syrian textiles, and there's an effort to try and rebuild it. I mean, it's not, I don't know much about it.
When you say it's totally destroyed, is that because of the war?
Yeah, because of the war. I mean, Aleppo, for example, was just bombarded, so a lot of the factories were destroyed, and there's no, it's hard to, there's no market currently for all these weavers.
So as a person who loves the world of textiles, that must have really that's like bombing the Vatican or something.
I guess there's a lot of interest.
Can't we talk about this? In that respect. Okay.
I don't know.
So you've been in this business 4 years.
Yeah.
Is it 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the future for...
Well, I mean, they blew up on the 4th of August. And I mean, everything I had there was impacted. Studio, flat, and friends. Oh,
so your place got blown up?
Yeah. I was in the process of...
Well, you weren't there, obviously.
No, I'd left 2 days before.
You
come back to
left
London.
the country?
Yeah.
But
2 days before, with sort of my first load of luggage and everything, because I knew
the war was coming your way.
I knew it was going to be really, really difficult.
Is your friends? So you've lost some friends then?
No, I haven't, thankfully not. But my best friend, who I came out for in the first place, she was about 200 meters from the port in a boutique called If, which she was looking at really nice clothes. And she had 16 broken vertebrae, 5 ribs, punctured lung, exploded spleen, everything. She's very lucky to have survived. So I went to see her again.
Well, we've run out of time. I could question you till the cows come home. What's the impact? Last question. What's the impact you want to have on the world?
I'd like to work towards us having a different attitude to what we buy and consume, and that quality, sort of looking after things and caring for them is quite essential attitude. Not, I think it can start with clothes, but that mindset can spread to a lot more we do.
Okay. Well, thanks for the interview.
Thank
and it's
you.
much appreciated. We hoped you liked that episode. Keeping in mind, we never know who we're going to interview. We post twice a day, 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. GMT. Have you ever considered the future economies to invest in? Why not listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories? Considering Africa has the fastest growing economies and population on Earth, and has done for many years, it holds 30% of the world's known natural resources. We publish twice a week, Tuesday with a guest investor and Fridays talking about investment, politics and history, providing a clear understanding for any potential investor.